are now tuned in to LightSaber Radio. If you only knew the power of God's
Here it comes. Let's go.
You are now tuned in to LightSaber Radio. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello there.
Welcome to LightSaber Radio, the most outrageous Star Wars show on the web. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash that subscribe button as well as the bell icon so you will be notified of all of our future episodes. Also, don't forget to press that like button. It helps get these videos in front of other Star Wars fans so they can get in on the outrageousness. So how's everyone doing today?
Hey, we're splendid. We're living the dream.
Yo,
Usually
don't you fucking speak for me. How dare you? Right out the gate, I'm already ready to argue with you.
CJ's day is fantastic. Although, let's talk about mine because it's more important anyway. I'm just kidding.
Hello. Also, as a disclaimer, I'm going to say it right now before anybody else says it. If you haven't watched Andor, what the hell are you doing for starters? Are you even a Star Wars fan?
Shut the hell up. No.
And also, spoilers if you haven't watched it. I'm just going to say it because people be bitching on Instagram about it. So might as well do it now. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Come back and watch the video. Or watch it and watch us. No, you watch us on your phone and watch Andor.
Dude, watch us. We have some valuable insights so that when you go into watching it, you know what to look for.
Yes.
I mean,
I agree with you on that, Garrison. I agree with you on that, Garrison.
Whatever. Because, ouch.
Yes, there's some. I agree with you too. I agree with both of y'all. If you ain't watching it, what the hell is wrong with you? It's already been on for 24 hours, damn near. Supposed to be. You should have watched it twice. I've already watched it twice. It's fucking great. What's going on, Chris? What's going on, Clint? In the last 5 minutes of episode 3, as we speak.
Hey, that a kid. He's got his priorities straight. CJ.
What's up?
Clint, what's going on? Yes, it's way better than Boba Fett.
I did too, though. I did too. I got off work and I watched the last 2 episodes before I hopped on because I fell asleep after the first one. It was like 2:30 and I was tired as shit and the kids wouldn't go to bed. I fell asleep.
Hey, you fall asleep?
Hold on. Let me explain. Last night was not the greatest night. Cass was having a real bad night. I had to cuddle with him. And when I woke up, I was like, cool, I can go watch Andor. It's about that time anyway. Come in, I'm watching it. And then he starts crying again. So I was like,
haven't you ever seen the hashtag beat the, didn't you ever see the hashtag beat the babies?
I don't beat
the hell out of the kids. Beat them.
Then they become rebels. Look at Cassian Andor. That's the last thing I need my kid to turn into is some fucking rebel that's going to hop into some random person's vehicle and start a fucking war. Like, the last thing I need.
Hey, shit, it might be the one that changes the whole planet because this planet is fucked up so far.
Also, by the way, hi right Squeak. I see you watching me.
Yes. What?
My daughter's watching us. Phoenix. That's her nickname is Squeak.
Oh, okay.
She's watching us right now.
Oh.
I got a photo of her. She's like waving at us off the TV.
She's waving at us. All right, so we're gonna be talking some Andor. Hopefully, Chris will be joining us here pretty soon. I messaged him and everything. He's supposed to be like, I don't know. I think there'd just be a time zone because everybody seems like they want to show up late on the episodes or something like that. But we got several things to cover because we want to definitely cover some Andor, and then when Chris comes on, we want to definitely talk about his time as being in Resistance. He was the head star of Resistance both seasons, so. You know, we definitely want to talk to him about that when he comes on. So we just got to get some stuff together. So hopefully everything works out. But first and foremost, we got to talk about some Andor because this is the adult Star Wars we have all been wanting, and it's great. Like literally, the first 5 minutes, I already knew I was gonna like it.
Yo.
It starts off in a brothel, and then he shoots somebody in the fucking face, point blank range. That shit was awesome. I was hooked at that point. I was like, oh my God, this is great.
When she walks in, she's like, what are you looking for? And he like describes, like, she was like, oh, you don't want me. Yeah, I wouldn't want your flat topped afro ass either. What the hell is that?
Hideous.
What the hell was that? And then turned around and he's like, no, it's my sister.
Oh yeah, that was kind of weird. I was like, "What the hell is you looking for? You want to sleep with your sister?"
What the hell is going on here?
Yeah, it was a little confusing. Like, what? Why is he looking for his sister? It was like they should have started off with the flashback right off the bat, so you would have understood what was going on before he's talking about he trying to get his sister.
But he walks into a brothel, gets hit on, gets picked up on, and then he's like, "I'm looking for my sister." Why are you in a brothel looking for your sister?
Your sister's a whore. How did you find that?
What,
Tori, what about Alabama? Hey, that might happen in Alabama. Some of them, Mississippi inbred people be doing some weird shit down there in the down south.
Wrong turn looking motherfuckers.
Starting to look like the royal family and shit, all fucked up. Hey, sorry. Hey, that wasn't anything against Queen Elizabeth. We all love Queen Elizabeth. She was the shit. Longest ruling person ever in the history of time.
And the Queen, she broke a 100 or whatever plus agreement not to play the national anthem in Great Britain, but when 9/11 attacked, she broke that agreement and played it for us. So, yes. Long live this.
Give a shit up. No.
Too soon, Kyle. It's never too soon.
But
I've been in this fight since I was 7 years old.
Which I still have yet to see that.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah, no, he was looking like 12, 13. If he's 6, I want to know what the hell they're feeding him on that planet.
He's been in this fight, bro. He just now is joining the Rebels as an adult. How have you been in this fight? Don't bullshit me.
Well, I don't get it. I don't get it anyway, because he's like in the flashbacks, he's like fucking at least 12 or 13 or older.
Easily,
so I'm like, how the fuck you got kidnapped when you was like that didn't make no sense. But we are talking about Star Wars here. Star Wars has never made total sense. So, that's like a purpose thing you have to do in Star Wars. To follow George's thing, you got to have loopholes and shit that doesn't make sense. If you don't do that, you're not following Star Wars criteria.
That's not true. You could have easily followed this. He was not in the fight when he was 6 years old. When he was 6 years old, he was living his Lord of the Flies, Peter Pan and the Lost Boys dreams out in the woods.
Yo, real shit though, that old boy that shot that girl, when they're all sitting there hitting him with the blow darts, I'm like, oh, somebody hit him in the forehead, please.
No, my thing is, like, what type of poison are they using? Because it's not very good. They shot that dude like 20 times before he dropped. Like, dude, you guys got to get some better poison.
But did you catch that the ship had a poison on it? And and like later on when they're talking about his planet and how it was poisoned by an Imperial like mining camp. I don't think it was that.
All right, everybody, here goes Chris. He's coming on the show.
Are we in?
Yep, you are here. What's going on, Chris? How are you today?
Whew, call me Christopher. I'm doing great, man. How you guys doing?
Cool. There's the last couple days have been just crazy. Like I think for everybody, I don't know what it is about this week. It's just been like a crazy week. My Monday and Tuesday was just and today was just so hectic. Garrison over here, he's in college. They hitting him with exams, and he's like trying to get everything done. So, yeah, it's been crazy.
Congratulations, Garrison. Where you going, man?
I'm at Arizona State.
No joke. Yeah, that's where my mid kid wants to go. Arizona State, right, babe?
No, U of A.
U of A.
Oh.
Oh.
Well, hey, man, congrats that you got in, dude. That's awesome.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, CJ tried, but he couldn't even
Yeah,
get
no,
in.
I couldn't. I wasn't much for the college. I'm more of the blue collar worker. So
there you go, brother. There you go. What are you doing?
I do excavation work.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so you're like an archaeologist.
No. No. I appreciate the slight compliment, but no. I mean, I find cool rocks every once in a while, and I give them to my daughter, but that's about it.
Oh, man, with the geos. That's cool. Might find like a kyber crystal. Who knows, man? I don't know.
No.
That would be dope.
I would cry. I'd be like, yo, it's real. George has made it real.
You're like, I knew it. And it's a red one. You're like, oh no.
I pick it
definitely
up.
Don't get that to the daughter.
I find it's blue. I pick it up. It turns red. I'm like, oh, neat. It wasn't a lie.
And you start hearing. You're like, oh, this is me.
This is it. Time to accept the fate.
So, Christopher, did you get a chance to watch any of the Andor series?
Not yet. No, I've been going. I just actually got out of an audition right now. I had 4 auditions that were due like now, and then I got one that was like thrown at me right now. So I was doing them. I was like, guys, I have to go. And
No,
rushed
it's
out
all right.
to come
It's
here.
all right. Hey, an audition is way more important than coming out here talking to us idiots.
No, God, no. Hey, man, I gave you my word. I'm here, right? That's the most important thing. You should follow your word. Stick to it.
Grandpa always said that there's 2 things that you can value: your name and your word, and they both better go together very well. So
Yeah.
That's a good saying.
Like CJ and excavation, bro. They go right hand in hand.
No, I work with a bunch of idiots, and I can't stand it. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh man, so what's up, guys? What are we doing here? Just hanging, just chatting.
Yeah, so we just in there talking a little bit about the Andor series.
Nice.
That's why I was hoping that you've seen it because hey, it's good.
Oh,
It's good.
I'm so
It's worth it.
excited to watch it.
It's worth it.
It's
Yeah.
adult. It's like the first 5 minutes is like within the first 5-10 minutes of the show, you're like, oh, I'm hooked. I'm hooked. It just starts off crazy.
I was surprised how like different it's because we're used to like some of the Disney stuff being like a little more kids focused. Immediately first scene. Well, this isn't for kids. Nope.
Yeah, this is that PG-13 stuff. And
Hey, PG-13, it was rated R.
I mean, you really didn't see a couple things that you could have.
Hey,
They
you
could have
you
fanned
see
out and
him.
made it happen.
You see him what he does, like right off the bat. It's like, wow, like, oh God, oh yeah, this is adult. This is definitely adult, which is cool because I think that was some of the things that was lacking in a couple of the like Boba Fett and Kenobi. It was more kid friendly, and I think it kind of steered a little bit of the adults away. Like, yeah, this is kind of kiddish, but with Andor, no, it's adult. It's definitely adult. First 3 episodes they dropped today, and it's definitely adult. It's way more adult than anything else we've seen in Star Wars, which is kind of cool. I think we deserve it by now. You know, that us adult fans that are like, okay, you know, well, we're gonna get back to some more, you know, people's arms getting cut off, and you know, are we just gonna watch, you know, this kid stuff all the time? I mean, and don't get me wrong, we love the kid stuff because hey, I'm a big fan of all the animations.
Yeah, it's like that never stopped you, Kyle.
Yeah, no, it's not. Animations is, I think, Clone Wars and Rebels and Resistance and all. I mean, they're just Resistance was a little bit more kid friendly, and that's something you would know more about, Christopher, because but it still was. It wasn't like, you know, Clone Wars was pretty dark. There was some pretty dark stuff in Clone Wars. And in Resistance, like, whoa, what's going on here? Are you sure this is for kids? Can I let my kids watch this?
Resistance wasn't that dark. It was more Rebels.
Not Resistance, but Rebels and Clone Wars
Yeah.
was pretty dark. So when you was playing on Resistance, how did that differ from, you know, because, I mean, we all know that you're on Days of Our Lives, and then you're being a voice actor on Resistance. Days of Our Lives is definitely more adult, and then Resistance is more of that kid-friendly type show because, you know, it's an animation. But
hey, I didn't notice.
How does that differ when you have to play them 2 type of parts?
You know what's funny is like I pride myself on playing very different characters. Like while I was filming Days of Our Lives, I was also filming Hawaii Five-0. Where I played the antagonist for seasons 5 and 6, and I was introduced in season 4. So I was kind of like 3 weeks on days where I play a gay baseball player, and then I would fly to Hawaii, and then in Hawaii I'd play a guy, you know, a very dangerous mob boss who is basically cleaning out destroying and taking over the criminal enterprises of Hawaii, which is a lot of fun. And they're completely different characters, completely contrasting. Days of Our Lives, while I was filming Days, I was also, once Hawaii Five-0 ended, I was filming Days and Star Wars Resistance. And Resistance is, you know, obviously it's not my octave, not my natural register. And I bring my voice right around here. Like, hey, what's up, guys? That's crazy. Oh, Kyle, man, you're like in the perfect, like, what is that? Are you got a TIE fighter? Like, you know, that's like, that's the character. Upbeat, animated, fun, lively, speaks before he thinks, but at the same time, instincts take over and kind of help him. So a completely different mindset, and it's fun, man. It's just so much fun. Anytime you're playing, like, you get to actually play and create and have a fun collaborative experience. It's just kind of an actor's dream to just live in that sandbox, you know, and play.
Did you have a preference to not which role, I guess, but do you prefer like voice acting to live acting? And what's the difference between those two realms?
You know, I literally just had a conversation with somebody at DC about this, because I'm currently playing Nightwing in Gotham Knights, which is
Yes!
October 21st.
I'm excited. I'm sorry. I'm a big DC fan.
Yeah.
Nightwing's one of my guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like Nightwing and Red Hood. And I loved when Jensen Ackles did Red Hood. So I was like, when I saw that you were on that roll call, I was like, yes.
Well, thanks, man. Like, I'll be honest, man. I'm a huge Red Hood, Stephen O. Young stan. I think he nailed it. I think he's uberly talented. Working with him, like, his acting chops are just on another level. Like, you can stand in a room and have a connection with him and not even look at him, and you guys just kind of, like, you know, you dance. When we were doing performance capture in Montreal, his talent is incredible. But going back, what was the question? Oh, the difference.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, you're good. You're good. No, it's great. Please interject at any moment. The difference, I would say, is like loving mom and dad, really, because on camera, you're going to deal with a lot of ego. You have to also there's a lot that goes into acting on camera, live action. Subtleties are important. Everything physical matters. The chemistry with you and another actor is palpable. You can feel it. You're there. Many of the times when you're acting, what is this hair, bro? I'm gonna be sorry, guys. But many times when you're doing voiceover, many times you're not in the room with other people. You're kind of on your own. And when you're on your own, you're gonna give like oh, CJ doing excavation, and you're like, shut up. And I'm like, oh, CJ doing excavation. You know, so you give like 3 different types of reads. CJ doing excavation. You're gonna just keep reading, and hopefully one of those, the director will be like, okay, I like take 2 with said person's take 3, and then you kind of puzzle piece match them together. If you're lucky, you get to actually be in the room with somebody and have that chemistry where you're working back and forth. But that's like you know, that just depends on the project and depends on the budget they have. Luckily, they flew me to New York to work with Oscar Isaac, and I watched him perform Hamlet the night before, and the next day I try to show up an hour early, and he was already there sipping tea, watching the show. He's like, hey man, great job, great stuff. I'm like, this guy's incredible. We got the booth together, and it was just him and me just working, you know, and the director's throwing out some cues, but I mean, he's incredibly talented to the point where he kind of guides other actors, and it's my job to then keep him invested by volleying back in a way where he wasn't expecting something and getting those natural reactions. Like, you know, I could just follow him, or I could just do my own thing. But the best type of actors are the ones that give, that don't just make it about themselves, that that provide opportunities to not just make myself look amazing and do exactly what I prepared, but again, work off of what you're giving and try and give you something that you weren't expecting to hopefully give you natural, large, beautiful reactions. And the difference, I would say, it's like loving mom and dad. Dad's a little tough, mom's a little lighter. Voice acting community is so loving, so generous, so giving, such a collaborative process. It's all everyone's like, I love it. It's such a communal thing, such a familial thing. While, you know, you're working on camera, and a lot of it's, you know, they still have that, but more, how would you say? It's more like me and Kyle are going to step away. We're going to work on our lines. Me and you are going to work together, rather than voiceover is kind of me, you, Kyle, me, Garrison, me, and all 4 of us are going to sit down and we're going to work on it collaboratively, you know? So you guys can be like, hey, what do you think about this? And we all kind of work together. Well, when it comes to that's voiceover. Everyone's working together to create a cohesive thing. However, Kyle and I on live action on camera, we're going to sit and say our characters are going to do this. Me and the director Kyle, or me and my scene partner are just going to sit and work together. You know, so there's a little bit of a difference where it's. I mean, you get your energy in reference to like the preparation and all that. It's all still there. It's all acting. And if anyone wants to get into voice acting, study acting. You know, you got to be a good actor. That's how you work. And I'm not saying I'm a great actor. That was your time. That was your cue for you guys to say, no, I'm kidding.
This is interesting.
I'm kidding.
I was entranced. Okay, I was listening. I was paying attention.
No, I'm not saying I'm a great actor. I mean, in all honesty, like I pride myself on being a giving actor, and sometimes you have to just be the person who takes control of the scene, and because you're not getting a lot from your other actor, you have to kind of run the scene. You just have to instinctively know, like, while you're working, you could be practicing a million different ways, but when they, you know, lights, camera, you know, audio, rolling, and action.
It's time to go.
You're gone. Yeah.
But your partner might drop their lines, and it's like, you know, how do you save it? How do you fix it? How do you make it to where they can remember? How can you? These are all like on the fly. Voiceover, it doesn't matter. Like, you know, you can screw up. All right, let's do it again, or you just start right back over. Acting, you kind of have to like save your partner, or again, depending on the show. There's so many different variables, but in the end, I think it's like mom and dad. You know, dad's a little more tough love, and that's on camera, and mom's a lot more loving and giving, and that's voiceover.
That's cool. That's probably one of the best ways I've heard it described. Is a mom and dad situation. That see, the stuff we learn on here is just crazy.
Well,
So,
I have an out of board question here. How was Gotham Knights? Like, did you get to play it? Like, I'm sorry, you said that. I got really intrigued. I've been stoked for this game since they talked about it.
Hey, check my man out.
Oh,
I actually, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I was at DC headquarters today, and just hanging out with a friend. You know, nothing official. And then Randy, I think, is the creative executive of the DC video game division, and he was like, "You want to play the game?" I was like, yeah.
Is it worth it?
Oh my God,
is
it's so
it
good.
It's I know it's
good.
based off of the
Oh,
Arkham
gosh.
Knight gameplay kind of style.
Mm.
Like the whole Arkham series. I know the gameplay is very similar to the Arkham Knight series kind of gameplay. So I'm like I was so stuck on like, okay, is it going to be worth my money? And then when I saw that I was like, oh, I need to ask. I'm sorry.
No, please ask. Honestly, like just the fact that it's like open world, untethered, action adventure. There's so much amazing story. The bad guys are so cool. And then it's, like I said, it's untethered co-op. So you can be in my world running around and you don't get pulled into the story unless you're in the area, right? So it's like, and it's just really cool. It's so cool. And like I said, I was playing today and I was like, you know, they already released the first 15 minutes of gameplay with Backrow. And, you know, that when you start investigating and you're looking for clues and all that, like it really does immediately pull you into this immersive world where you're like, you're there, you know? And seeing, for me, it's the open world traverse of Gotham City. Like, you know, this is many, many years of knowledge and research put in to create Gotham City. That now you can just walk and go into stores. Like it's so cool.
Dang, I love
Cool.
this.
I just needed to know that. I'm
excited.
sorry. I don't get excited over games, but one of my favorite superheroes heroes is Green Arrow. But I also I grew up with Batman because we didn't get Green Arrow. We didn't get Green Arrow movies. We didn't get a lot of Green Arrow stuff. So Batman was my guy for the longest time until Arrow came out with Stephen Amell. And honestly, like just playing the Arkham series, it was like, okay, you know, Arkham Knight, although make another one. Batman's not dead. And then they did this, and I was like, I know it's not tied to the Arkham series, but I'm really excited for this trilogy. Because I know they're going to be doing more than one. They can't just... I know you can't disclose anything if they are, if they aren't. I know there's an NDA process. You don't want to get dropped or anything.
yeah, I mean, in the end, like, you know, I'm just really excited. It was gonna drop on my birthday, October 25th. They moved it up, so I'm like, now it's on my lady's birthday, October 21st.
Yes.
Oh,
That
wait,
was
wait.
one of the
No,
questions that
October
I wanted
20th
to
is my
ask
lady's
you.
birthday.
Oh.
Oh, she's not gonna see this. Don't worry. No.
You gotta admit, that's, I mean, great casting. Like,
Yeah.
you as Nightwing, you look like.
Yeah, I
if
mean,
was
you do
to
look
bring
like
him
Dick
to
Grayson, heart and
Dude.
heart. Like,
Oh, I appreciate
awesome.
it, man. I appreciate it. I mean, honestly, like, I honestly, like, I had a picture of I thought it was Terry McGinnis, Batman Beyond, right? And I had a picture of him hanging upside down,
I would
shirtless,
too.
with the abs. I mean, I have the Grayson novel, what I studied. Like, I studied that, you know, to get in the mindset and get a general feel of Nightwing. But I already knew who he was growing up. He was like charisma and charm, and yet a badass through and through, you know, like. But he's like Batman if he was raised with the right parents, if he had parents, right? With love and care and nurture. That's who Nightwing is. And he was, as you said, you love the Green Arrow. Well, the Green Lantern. I'm sorry, excuse me. It's kind of a side throw, but the Ring was going to choose Nightwing, but his second choice was Dick Grayson, not the first, right? And the first was Hal. Help me out here.
You have John Stewart, Hal Jordan.
Yeah. So when it was looking, it was like Dick Grayson, maybe Hal Jordan, who we choose. Like, to be selected in that category, you've got to be through and through such a moral human being, like Obi-Wan-esque, the moral high ground, if you will. But in the end, like I said, I'm just honored to be the first Asian American to portray a DC superhero. I mean, dude, my dad was in the Navy. I lived in like all over and small off base military housing, and traveled, lived in trailers at times, you know, like I never expected to be where I'm at, working with Star Wars, working with DC.
You got discovered at like a Six Flags, is that right?
So some people say I was discovered there. I've always wanted to be an actor, right? So I'm walking around Six Flags, Hurricane Harbor, and this guy comes and he's like, "Here's my card. You should do beauty pageants." And I was like, "Bro, what?" I was like, "Okay,
come on."
Yeah." I'm like shirtless and shorts, you know. I was like, "Okay, thanks, man." So I'm walking around like, I was like, "Yeah, you hear that, CD? You hear that?" And I'd followed through. At the time, I had just gotten some my first modeling photos. I was working at like a reprographics, doing large prints, AutoCAD files for real estate companies and such, but construction companies as well. But anyway, long story short, like, you know, from there I did a few beauty pageants, and I was kind of like trying to find a way to break in the industry. And that company I worked with, the guy was like, "Hey, I just got a camera. Do you want to try modeling?" And everything just started lining up for what I wanted. I was just too embarrassed and too shy to really say to people, "I want to be an actor. I want to be successful in entertainment and media." I mean, how many times do people actually say that and everyone goes, "Yeah, you and everybody else, but get in line," you know? Like, so it's one of those things. It's scary to tell your parents, or scary to tell anyone who you love, "Hey, I'm going to follow a dream. I'm going to go for it," you know? And many times people are afraid to do that because you don't know what you're doing. I had no idea what I was doing. I was strung along by the wrong people for like 10 years. The first 10 years of my career, I've been doing this 18 years. So the first 10 years I was strung along. I was making bad mistakes. I was not accountable. I was allowing other people to kind of guide me or mentor me or help me. And all the wrong people were doing it for the wrong reasons, until I finally was like, no one's going to help me like I'm going to help me. I have to be 100% responsible for every choice. I have to be accountable for everything in my life. So I cut all those toxic people out. And now, you know, and then I started working. I started finally finding the right path. Like 9 years ago, I was living in my truck trying to make it, you know, and now I've got a lead of a Star Wars series under my belt. I'm a lead of a DC franchise under my belt. I was Days of Our Lives, Hawaii Five-0, You on Netflix. NCIS LA. Like things are finally happening, and I've got a movie that comes out in 2024. I'm working on the lead of a movie, a very big franchise, Netflix animated feature, and at 2023, another project I'm working on comes out. So, things are finally coming together.
Yeah.
What's the movie?
I can't say. I'm not allowed to.
Hey, man, you gotta think.
I know you was going with that, Garrison.
I knew you were going that way, but you gotta think. Netflix is just like Disney with that. They're not gonna tell you until a week before it drops.
If you ask fast enough, they'll just say it.
That's pretty. Wow, Garrison.
Hey, you can't get Christopher in trouble now, man. Ain't no getting in trouble. We need him to come out with movies so we can enjoy his acting. And he don't come out with movies, we can't enjoy his acting.
Showed me.
That's baby.
I love you too, Squeak. Go to bed.
Oh, that's sweet. What's your daughter's name?
Phoenix.
Phoenix. Oh, it's a beautiful name.
Phoenix Amidala.
Phoenix Amidala. That's cool, man. So you through and through are a Star Wars fan.
They go kind of well together too.
That's awesome, man. I'm stepdad to 3 kids, 18, 15, and 13-year-old.
I'm stepdad to 2. It's Phoenix Amidala and then Cassian Ash.
Yeah, that's so cool, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess in reference to like, sorry, going back to the topic at hand, like acting's been a passion, and like I said, in the end of the day, it's like, Kyle, who started LightSaber Radio? Is that you, Kyle?
Yeah. So basically, I have another podcast that's called Star Wars Audio Archives, where I just do like book reviews. I go through chapter reviews. I got the rights to use some of the Star Wars books, and I started with that. I've been doing that for about 4 years now, and I say it was kind of boring. I mean, it's not boring because I love Star Wars, but it was kind of boring because it's just me in the book. So it was like, and it's kind of like, same thing with voice acting. It's just sometimes it's just you in there, and you just gotta figure it out yourself. And then, so I said, okay, I want to do something with some other people. So I put out a call on the other podcasts, and then on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all the social medias. And I just asked anybody want to do a podcast. I've been doing social media stuff for probably about 10 years, and YouTube and stuff like that. So I said, let's do it. Who wants to do a podcast? And then I got I didn't know what I was in for, because I did about 300 interviews. I was like, holy shit. Wow. I mean, so many people tried to come on, and it's real funny because you get people that want to come on, and it's like, dude, you don't know anything about Star Wars. You're just trying to be on a podcast. So I'm going through all these interviews, and then there was basically 3 people that I chose, because it was supposed to, well, there was actually 4 people that I chose. CJ was supposed to be on the back burner. He was supposed to be our call-in guy. If somebody couldn't show up, he was supposed to fill in. Then that kind of didn't work out. The first episode we brought him on, and he's just been here ever since. So
yeah, I don't sit in the back burner very well. So
we kind of worked it out. I had my assistant doing some stuff, and we just kind of all worked it out, and then ended up we've had 3 other people that came on the podcast, and then they left for whatever reason. They decided to leave, and then we got to here, and then we just kept pushing, and it just kept growing and growing. We kept getting more people coming in, and then we were just and then when we got to our 100th episode, I said, we got a nice body of work. We've been doing this for a while. Let's up the boundaries, and let's start trying to talk to some people that know a little bit more about the industry than what we know. I mean, I've done a little bit of voice acting myself, just some small stuff, but I've done some stuff, and it was like, I want to get to talk to people that really know the industry, because a lot of the questions we get asked, and a lot of the questions I get asked is, how do you get into the industry? How do you do this? How do you do this? And my story is basically like your story. I was drunk and got into it with this guy, and next thing you know, I was doing a voice acting gig. I was like, how did I get here? Like, how did this happen? Because he just liked the way that I sounded. So he was like, he liked the depth of my voice, and the character that I was playing basically had a real deep voice. So he was like, that's kind of how it happened. So it was like I wanted the more depth because I didn't really have what some of the other people have went through. I kind of just lucked out and just kind of fell into a position, and I wanted to get more of the detail. So that's why I was like, I want to reach out to some people. So we talked about it, and I was like, let's reach out and let's see if we can get into contact with some people that's been in the industry. And so far we've had you, David, Sharmilla, we had Miltos on here last week. And we've really been getting some like real in-depth conversations about like, dude, it's crazy. Sharmilla Dever, she was telling us about, she was like, well, I don't know why everybody thinks actors are rich. She was like, I'm not rich. And she's been on Grey's Anatomy and all. She was like, my boyfriend thought I had like $33 million. She was like, I don't have no $33 million. I'm a working actor. So, we've learned a lot, and it's been really cool because of the feedback that we've been getting from the fans. And a lot of people were like, we thought acting was a totally different thing. Everybody sees the glitz and glam and, see people walking on red carpets and, driving, $2 million cars. And it's not really like that. They don't talk about, most actors don't talk about the 16 hours they was on set a day, or, they don't talk about, just in the average everyday thing you see when you see actors. So when we get you guys on the show and you guys say, hey, it's not all that it's hard. It's hard. It really shows, and it kind of gives people the real aspect of what's going on. That's why it's so valuable.
Absolutely.
As Star Wars fans, we love Star Wars, but we also want to offer value to our listeners. We want to should give them something, because there's so many people out there that, I would say probably most Star Wars fans would love to be in a film, but would you really want to do that, 16 hours a day in the desert, and, you're burning up and you're there for, 6 months doing this part, and would you really want to do that? Would you have the ability to do that? And a lot of people wouldn't, and I want to offer that today.
D told us details.
Yeah.
D told us because he did one of the Pike Syndicate. He was the head Pike Syndicate in Solo. He said that it was heavy, it was strenuous, and all you do is sweat. I mean, you would be in it they'd take it off of him. He was telling us they'd take it off and they'd let you rest. But when it was time to go, you better be ready. And he's like, I watched people come in, think they could do it, and leave within an hour because they can't handle it mentally. Because it's just...
But, it's like, do you want to leave a mark or do you not? Because this is forever.
Yeah.
Right? Oh. So it's like, regardless if it's like, you're third guy back in row, standing in line, wherever, like, that's me right there. I know that's me. My name's in the credits. Forever, I will always know, and I will always be known as that person. Like, in the Star Wars universe, you're lucky if you can be an extra. You know what I mean? Like, so many of us actors they're doing everything we can to be a part of that franchise, because that IP is the second largest grossing IP of all time, just behind Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? So yeah, I mean, the fact that D did that, man, good for him. That's awesome. I mean, a lot of people say they want to get in shape, and then they step into the gym and they quit. A lot of people say they want to be an actor and they quit because it's not easy. Less than 1% of people make more than $60,000 a year. Less than 1% of the actors. There's like over 300,000 people in the union, SAG-AFTRA union. Less than 1% is making that. So yeah, it's not glitz and glam unless you make it. Unless you're doing well.
But you got to put the work in. That's what a lot of people don't understand. You got to put the work in.
You got to want it though, because your attitude on your first day attitude, from what D was saying and like Sharmilla and everything, like your attitude has a lot to do with it. If you want to be there, you want to show up on time or early, they see that. It's just like with a new job, you show up every day on time or 15, 30 minutes early, and they see that. You do get the credit where the credit is due most of the time. Some places just suck, I'm not going to lie. But that's just it though. Like if your attitude really should drive your motive for what you want to do with your life. Like me, I make decent money doing what I'm doing, and I do the podcast. Like I work hard at work, and I come here and like, yeah, I've been slacking a little bit on the Instagram. I'm gonna say it. I've been slacking, but trying to pick this new job and make sure everything's going good and running my crew and trying to make sure I'm with the crew here to make sure everything's good here. It's a balancing act, and you just got to want it. And yeah, I think just dedication to your craft.
I think kind of what Kyle did. He made a decision. He made a choice, and he made a contract with himself that he's not going to give up, and he's going to keep moving forward. And any obstacles that came forward, he's going to battle them, overcome them, and learn from them. And this is how he's grown so much to have done over 100 episodes. They don't just happen. They're made, and it's not easy. It's not easy. As you said, you're juggling life, a baby, a job, other people's demands, and so forth. Battling COVID and all of the other external variables that we have to deal with. But again, things don't just happen. You make them happen. The ship of success might not come into dock. You got to swim out to that ship, and you got to get on that ship, because again, it's all about how bad do you really want it, right? And it does happen that way. When I was on Hawaii 5-0, I'm making everyone laugh. I'm having a blast. I'm telling terrible dad jokes. Shout out.
Man, that's the light of the party. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right. Shout out to the sidewalks for keeping me off the streets. Silly jokes like that.
Okay.
I'm telling jokes like that, and I noticed a guy over there in the corner sitting by himself. He seems a little stern. I was like, I'm gonna walk over there and say, "What's up to this guy?" So I strike up a conversation. We're having a good time. We're chatting. At the end of the conversation, he said, "Hey, we'll see you next season." And I'm like, "Nah, I'm one and done, man. That's it. One episode, and I'm off back to Cali." And he's like, "I'm the executive producer. We'll see you next season." I was like, "Whoa!" Go to find out. It's Brian Spicer. This guy's amazing. And go home, tell my dad, "Pops, I'm going back to Hawaii 5-0. He's like, "Sure, bud. Yeah, military, right? He's tough.
Right.
Navy. "Sure, bud. It's just Hollywood. Don't get your hopes up." 3 months later, I book a 2-year contract on Days of Our Lives. And like 3 months into there, I get the phone call. I'm at the commissary at Days, and I'm walking around, happy to be on set working, finding my first contract, and then boom, I get the call. "Hey, Christopher, Hawaii 5-0 wants you back. You ready?" I'm like, holy cow.
So my grandma and my grandpa used to live on the island where you guys would film, and they have a photo of like a plane crash. I can't remember what season it was. It was right on the beach, and they're like, this is like Hawaii 5-0 was really realistic with that kind of stuff. Did you get set back like on set, like some of the scenes where you're like, whoa, this isn't CGI. This is real. We're actually going to do this. Like, did you have those moments?
Yeah, when I crashed that plane and I saw your grandparents, I was like, whoa. No, honestly, like,
my bad. Not a good flyer.
It's okay. I'll be fine. For me, like, the more realistic, the better. I love getting immersed. I love getting lost in the character. I'd never actually shot full blanks, live rounds from a gun, like not live, but actual guns shooting full blanks, half round blanks, full blanks, whatever it may be. We're on set, and the stunt coordinator, Jeff Cadiente, amazing. He was Brandon Lee's stunt double. And he was like, "Hey, have you ever shot a gun?" I was like, "Yes." He's like, "You ever shot, blanks on camera?" I was like, "No, sir." And he's like, "Thank you for being honest. Let's go over here." And he gives me a freaking AK-47. He's like, "Go ahead, tee off." And I'm like, and I'm shooting the gun on the rooftop, and I'm like, whoa, this is so cool. Like, and you feel the power behind the gun, and you hear it. So yeah, that was my first experience being on set. Shooting again blanks from a gun, and getting into a fight, getting thrown around. I want to do as much of the stunts as I possibly can, because I love. I like to be the tough mofo. And then when people see him get his ass whooped, they're like, "Yeah, he deserved it." And I'm like, "Hey, I'm glad you felt that way, and I'm glad you got that, that ending that you wanted." So I'm very hands-on. They wouldn't let me do some of the stunts. Obviously, jumping out of the 4th-story building, they wouldn't let me get thrown through particular walls. But I got to throw characters through walls, and I got to, like I said, I got to do so many cool things. I got to bring my kids to set too.
Oh yeah, that's super dope.
And my oldest kid wants to be an animator. but they love storyboard art. So they love to like get ideas of stories. So I brought them to set, and they're holding this huge camera and recording Daniel Day Kim, you know, like, and that's the first person they see through the lens is Daniel DDK. And I'm like, this is such a cool, like, wow, like the fact that they have this opportunity, like I'm so lucky, I'm so blessed, I'm so glad I never gave up, because giving up wasn't an option for me.
That's like my screensaver on my computer and on my phone. It says, "I will never fail because I refuse to quit."
Boom,
And that's like my motto that I live life by. Like I'll keep going. I'll keep trying different things until I find what's going to work. I won't ever give up. Absolutely. And it was kind of sucked because I got told I got MS like a few months ago, and I was like, I don't care. It ain't gonna hold me back. I'm gonna keep doing it.
So you got what?
MS, multiple sclerosis.
Yes. I'm sorry.
So it's like there was a point in time that it was like, okay, am I gonna be able to continue to do it? I'm not stopping. No,
I don't know. We had an emotional moment as a team, though, when you did tell us, like when you got the confirmation. But it was rough, kind of,
but
sorry.
At the same time, it was like, dude, it motivated me more. Now it's like, okay, I gotta do it faster. That's all it did. It just motivated me more that I have to do it faster because I don't know how much time I have. So,
who's gonna take? I mean, when the time slowly starts to catch up, who's gonna be the one that takes your place fighting crime in the streets right here late at night?
We're not going to replace him. That's the big thing. I think Garrison and I
take that.
One of these two is going to do it.
We'll see.
Hey, I ain't going anywhere for a long time.
Why do you think I added the marketing major, y'all? No.
I mean, cool. I've had an interesting life. I went to college. Well, I went to trade school. I have a degree in practical ministry and biblical theology. I wanted to be a biblical archaeologist. I loved Indiana Jones. I was like, I want to go find biblical artifacts. And then they told me, you got to be away from your family for like 5 years and all that. I said, what? No, I don't want to do that. Then they tried to get me to be a preacher, and I was like, nah, man, that's not what I want to do. But I learned a lot, and that was the thing. I said, okay, how can I utilize this in a world of just the way the world is nowadays? Content creators are huge. And this was about 10 years ago. And I was smoking cigarettes. I quit smoking. I used vaping to quit smoking. And I was like, dude, I feel great. I haven't smoked a cigarette in a year. How can I help other people do this? So that's where I got my start on social media, was doing vaping, telling people, hey, you could do, there's a healthier alternative out there. You don't have to smoke cigarettes. And I was working out and everything. And it just kind of all molded into, it just kept moving and moving. When I started seeing that was too saturated, I really didn't have the good explanation. I couldn't explain the products like some of the other creators could. So I was like, all right, this might not be the best thing. I've helped a lot of people. Let me move on to something else. I started another podcast before with a friend of mine. It was called Man Axiom, and it was just like man's opinions. So we were just talking about, the things that men go through in life, getting married, having kids, the difference between when we were young and, just, and then we just talked about, typical news stuff, like what kind of small child tells their mom that they were sleeping with a teacher. I'm not telling nobody, I'm not telling nobody. I'm going to keep that a secret. But, we just talked about different stuff.
Great example.
Great. That's the perfect example coming from you.
And then I moved from the state I was living in Colorado at the time. And I moved to Missouri. And I said, and he didn't want to do it remotely. He said he didn't have no computer technology type. He's just not one of those type people. So I was saying, man, what else do I really, really like? I say, man, I watch Star Wars more than anything. I love Star Wars. I want to talk about Star Wars. So then I just kind of went through the ringer, and I said, okay, I don't want to have. At first, I was thinking like a podcast like this because everybody has one or everybody's doing something like this. So I was like, I don't want to do that. Let me do something different. So I know a few people. So I reached out to some people. Got a hold of random house audios. Got the okay to use the books, and I ran with it from there. But then it just got 2 years of putting out content, and it's just me in the book. And it's like, oh man, and, you know, you kind of get burnt out. I want to talk to people about Star Wars. I want to talk to actors. I want to talk to, you know, people that's been in Star Wars. I don't want to just talk about a book all the time. And that's what that's.
Hi, we're here.
Life changed.
How you doing?
And we're growing constantly, and every day we're getting new people. We're getting new people in touch, and that's why I was like, I want people to get the real. We get asked a lot of questions. I get asked a lot of questions like, I don't know, I did a few parts, you know. I ain't ever done nothing really major. I want to talk to people that's been in depth in the world. So the people could get the information about, you know, what they have to do to get into the industry, or besides the glitz and glamour, you know, what the hard work, because a lot of people, everybody wants to be an actor. Like you said, everybody say, I want to be an actor, but then they don't want to go out there and do the work. I mean, we've had people on the show, they want to come be on a podcast, but then they don't want to put in the work to do it. You know, it takes work. You have to be dedicated. You have to have that time cut off. That, you know, when your wife comes to you and says, hey, you know, I want to go to dinner on Wednesday night. Can't go on Wednesday night. I got the podcast. We're committed to this. So
we're doing takeout, baby. We're doing takeout.
Yeah, you know that good Chinese place number, right?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things, and it's something that, and even when people come and ask us about podcasting, you know, because we get people all the time ask us about podcasting, dude, you have to. It's no different than being an actor. When it's time to go to work, it's time to go to work. This is work, and you know, we get on here, and I mean, we're ourselves on here, so it's kind of easier. You're not playing a part, but you still kind of are, because people have expectations. People don't want you. Where sometimes we ruin them expectations when we come on here, and because I'm going to criticize something for the reality of it. I'm going to look at stuff. I've done a little bit of directing. I've shot some short films. I'm going to criticize stuff if I see stuff that's wrong. You know, if I hear the blaster bolt and then you see the thing come out 5 seconds later, all right, whoever edited that part messed up. You know, it happens.
Shaky camera.
Yeah, that just.
I will never get past that. I didn't realize it until you said it.
Yeah, I think I ruined that for a lot of people, but
yeah.
Well, I guess I have a question for you, Kyle. If I were to say to you, what's one thing, you know, now that you feel that time's getting stricter and all the creativity that you've put into this and everything that you've done to develop and get to where you are, the different projects you directed and acted in and voice acted in as well, what's like the best thing of advice that you would give to somebody who's interested in getting into the entertainment industry, like myself?
Oh no!
Don't give up.
Bada bing,
I was gonna ask him that.
You flipped the script. That was different.
Interesting.
There's only like Shamila asked us questions like that because we'd ask her like 3 or 4 and then she'd flip it on us and ask us, and it was like, oh, we weren't prepped for that. We were gonna drill you with questions. So,
no, I would ultimately say don't give up, and you can always become better at what you do. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
One of the hardest things for me was just like remembering. I don't have a very good memory. I've never had a very good memory. And remembering lines or remembering stuff that I need to talk about on a podcast or just remembering to do certain things, I got better at because I just kept practicing. I just kept on practicing and I wouldn't let something that was challenging stop me from doing it. I was like, I'm going to get this. I'm going to do this. And I just kept pushing forward until I did it. And it paid off. And that's why, you know, like I have the motto that I do. I will not fail because I'll never give up. I'll never stop. I'm just going to keep going. When I drop dead, that's when it's over because it doesn't matter after that. Any time before that, it's just time that I need to spend making whatever I am doing me better at. So most of the advice that I give people is when they ask me, just don't give up. You got to keep pushing forward. You got to keep trying. And I've been in the same situation as you where people have led me down the wrong path and had me in some really bad situations where I was like, okay, this is not working. just kind of be aware of your whole entire surroundings. Be aware of the people that's around you. And if it doesn't feel right, your body kind of tells you this ain't right. Something's not right. Listen to that inner you that's saying that this isn't right. That something's wrong, and just follow that. That would probably be the advice that's the advice that I give to most people.
My favorite piece of advice you gave us, Kyle, and I don't know if Garrison agrees, is the consistency advice that you gave us. It's like writing a book. You know, you got to start one chapter at a time. Like the first chapter, you got to start there. You don't get to jump to chapter 20 because you don't write chapter 20 and then chapter 1 and then work from there. Chapter 1, chapter 2, and you just keep going until the book's complete. And you never know. The book could never be finished, or it could be finished within a month. It could be finished 6 years from now. I think that was probably.
That's not kind of how I explained it.
No,
you know, took it on a whole different level.
No. Well, that's just how I took it, though. Is like, you know, you start with chapter 1. You don't get to start with chapter 20. You start in chapter 1 and you build that book from there. And that's how I took it. And I ever since you told us that in the beginning, it was just kind of like, all right.
This is what I said. We starting right here. And a writer does not get paid for the book until the book is finished. So you have to build your body of work before it gets published. So we have to put in the work. We have to do a lot of episodes. We're going to have to, struggle, come up with ideas, do a lot of work. And then once it gets to the finishing point, then we'll start making money.
It's about drive. It's about power. We stay no,
we stay hungry with the power.
Yeah, let's go.
No,
Black Adam, baby.
Oh man.
What about you, Christopher? What would you say?
If I were to say anything, I would just say
be really, really, really good looking.
really good looking.
Great jawline, all of it.
I would say, you know what? I would say it's like writing a book. You can't, you got to start from chapter 1, and then you got to go to chapter 2. Don't you say, CJ? Is that kind of? No, man. I think at the end of the day, it's like, you really got to know what you want, and as long as you know what you want, there's no backup plan. In The Art of War, they write about.
Great book.
And I always go back to The Art of War. Basically, it's this guy, The Art of War.
Yeah.
Basically, they're gonna go attack a base, and there was a spy amongst them. He got ahead, told the base that they were gonna attack, that they were coming. So as they unload all of their ships, the king is waiting, watching them unload everything, and they got all the caravan, everything ready. Their horse-drawn carriages with all their food. They get everything set. The ships are unloaded. And then here comes the king. He's coming out, and he comes out to wipe them out. They're outnumbered 10-1, right? So this man who came to sack this castle, he's looking up, and they're saying, "What do we do? What do we do?" And in that panic, he says, "Do we have arrows? Yes. Light the arrows on fire. Send the horse-drawn carriages to our one exit. Send them over there. I want you to shoot the ships as the caravans are going. Shoot them out. Shoot them with fire arrows and take our ships out. Now that the caravans are over there, shoot them out. Now, we have no escape. There's no exit. You want to see your families? You have to fight through that castle. You have to go through every single one of them. That's the only way you're getting out of this. Because if you have an escape route, you're going to take it. Many of us are afraid. Many of us don't realize just how big, how difficult life truly is. You can be hit with medical problems like Kyle. You can be hit with financial issues. You can be hit with emotional trauma, whatever it may be. We're going to be hit with so many obstacles, but the only way through is for us to take one step forward at a time and to know exactly what it is we want. And I think that is the best bit of advice is no matter what, just keep pushing forward, adapt, evolve, and continue to grow, because the only constant in life is change. So just change for the better.
Yeah. Somebody told me a saying the other day. I don't remember. Well, it wasn't somebody. I read it or I heard it on another podcast. But they said, the day you stop caring about what the world thinks is the day you're truly free. Mm-hmm. And it's not about the rest of the world. It's not about what you drive and what shoes you have on. It's about you, and you have to just keep pushing. The world's gonna keep coming. It's gonna spin around in circles, no matter what you do in life. You just got to keep pushing forward, and it's just one of those things where if you really want to do something, you're gonna do it. You can't let nobody, because I had people saying, "Oh, you'll never make it on YouTube. You'll never do anything. You'll never be able to do this. You'll never be able to do that." And I just look at them and smile. Kill them with kindness.
Smile away, boys.
Smile away.
Hey.
I mean, in the end, like, you know, we're all unique. We all have our own fingerprints. It's like, Garrus, if I were to ask you, what's something that you can remember and you can think of and be like, that was so cool? The first thing that pops in your head, anything at all. And if you can't think of anything, think about it. We'll get back to you. But if you can, great. Like,
No, I think I was in a high school musical, and I didn't think it was going to be fun. Didn't want to do it. Got forced to do it, and it was really cool, really fun. Had some cool experiences.
nice. And what about it was amazing? What did you learn from that?
I learned that things that I normally wouldn't be interested in or normally wouldn't want to try can be really great, and that when you're open to new things, awesome things can happen, and it can influence the rest of your life.
Did you find it challenging?
Yeah, I did. I did find it challenging. Again, it wasn't really up my alley. I never thought of myself as a singer or actor, and when I had the opportunity, it was challenging, but it was super rewarding.
So I think, like, you know, your perspective on things, it's your own. And we may hear similar stories, but we'll never hear the same story come from anyone else outside of what you just said. Not word for word, but again, you know, we're learning about you, and also people can relate with you. At the end of the day, though, it's all about perspective. It's all about trying things. And if you don't try things, you don't learn, and you don't get to share, and you're not interesting. So it's important to get out there. And if you don't know what you want to do in life, just shoot in every direction. You're bound to hit something. Just keep trying, keep moving forward, and keep growing. And all of these little experiences that you have, you can now relate to, I don't know, maybe, I don't know how many voice actors do musical theater, but I bet a lot, because they love to sing, right? And now you're like, hey, I share that same experience, and you can relate to those thespians, right? Like, I think that's awesome. And the fact is we all, as an actor, they say, like, stop thinking about acting. Just go out and experience life. Go to art shows, look at art, you know, go to watch musical theater, find something that inspires you, find things, start building your own opinions on things. And through that, your characters will have so much more life, because they have stronger, more educated experiences, and they'll be able to share those choices on camera and through your work. And it's like, wow, yeah, go see life. Go get a tour of DC. Go, if you can, go, you know, and if you can't see life out there, then see it on YouTube, see it via Instagram stories, see it, whatever you have to do, see it through video games. You know, these are all going to influence you. This is all, quote unquote, diet, as you were saying. All of the media, it's not diet. It's not what you eat. It's what you see. It's what you surround yourself with. All of that's your diet, right? So cut out toxicity and do all these things that are only going to help you adapt, again, grow, and evolve.
So I have a question for you, because I was watching this, you know, of course, I had to watch some Days of Our Lives. Not particularly what I would watch, but I wanted to watch some of your stuff that you've done as a character. And I was sitting there like, dude, this would be hard. This would be so hard for me to play somebody this gay as a straight man.
Mm-hmm.
How did you overcome that? Like, how did you prepare yourself to be that character?
Well, you know, we live in a world where we believe that male, female that's supposed to be right and anything else is wrong. Well, I don't believe that to be true, because I love my dog and I kiss my dog, and I love some of my homies, I'm like, they're so freaking cool. And in Spanish cultures and other cultures, they kiss, you know, your man will kiss his son on the lips, or his friends on the lips. And Armenia, they kiss on the lips. Like, different cultures view love and affection differently than America does. So for me, I'm half Japanese, and luckily I was able to travel and see different cultures and societies. We lived in El Centro, right above the border of Mexico, for many years, and many of my friends were Spanish. So I grew up around that, you know, and it can be intimidating for those who look at it in a way that, oh, this is wrong. But if you are open-minded and you're aware that, you know what, love is love, regardless of who or what you love. Love is love. Obviously, there are certain regulations that I don't advise, you know, loving children or anything like that. But I'm just saying, love is love.
Yeah.
Love is blind, right? And at the end of the day, it's like, if you can find a connection with someone, and they're your best friend, and you know, you truly give them your heart, and they give that back to you, that connection's everlasting. It's important, right? And if you can view it in that aspect, when you close your eyes, you're kissing lips. Regardless, man or woman, you're kissing lips. When you close your eyes, you're feeling affection. You're feeling that love, and you're giving that love back. That's what you're doing. So, you know, get over the idea that what is right, what is wrong. Just give love. 100% love. Give it. And then you'll receive it. And that's just the way I came to this role. I feel that for me, it's a very important story to tell. I'm not playing a stereotype or a caricature of a human being. A lot of my friends are gay.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends are LGBT, and I'm a huge advocate thereof, the LGBT community. And for me, it's you know, it's not that there's nothing wrong with you. You're born that way. It's normal even in the animal kingdom. So it's like, to me, you know, I wasn't accustomed to it. And for me to get accustomed to it is just to put myself truly into these shoes and be respectful. And through that, I found so much more, enjoying so much more. I found so many more great people, and I've so many more friends because I'm more aware. I've learned, I've grown. So I think for me, the biggest message when it comes to that is just, you know, so many of us are closed-minded. They say, oh, that's, you know, that's it. This is the right way. That's, you know, but the minute you start to stop and take a second and just acknowledge what it is, acknowledge the thoughts you're having first and foremost. Why do I think that way? You know,
Right.
you know, then, okay. So my thoughts are creating my emotional attachment to that. Separate yourself from that and be like, okay, why do I feel this way? Because somebody said that, because whatever it may be. Once you can get over that, again, that's the biggest barrier. Get over yourself and your ego. And once you can surpass that, everything's easy, man. Everything's easy. Obviously, follow your instincts, right? Don't hurt yourself.
That was a great explanation. Hey,
Great answer.
Yeah, wow. Great answer. That was a great answer. Because, you know, a lot of times, I think that we all put ourselves sometimes in a box. And I think that's one of the things that holds people back a lot, because we put ourselves, like you said, we put ourselves in this box, and it's by things that people have told us and the world says is okay. And once again, falling back what the world says instead of what you feel or what you do.
I wouldn't say the world. I would say your community. Because if you were seeing what the world said, then you would no longer listen to the world, because the world says listen to yourself. But the community is always saying listen to what we're saying. So they're guiding more. So they're controlling. But the world no longer says control. The world says be you, be free. Whatever it is you truly feel, and learn through experience. What do you enjoy? And through experience you'll enjoy. But a community, you know, that hasn't had culture, it isn't culture, that hasn't seen the world, will then in turn say this is right, this is wrong, believe it or you're wrong. And it's like, whoa, pull back there. Like, how much of the world have you actually seen? How much have you seen? How much other race, religion, how much sexual orientation, how much of that have you actually seen? And through your expedition, through your journey, then that's where you start to excavate who you truly are. See, I pulled that back, CJ. Excavate your true stuff.
So
keep
on
digging.
That.
Well, see, hold up, CJ, real quick, because
I kind of have.
I think that all the Star Wars fans that's listening now, and that's listening now, and is going to listen to this as the show goes off and we move forward, that come back and view this. A lot of the Star Wars community needed to hear that. A lot of the Star Wars community needed to hear that, because we have seen a lot of racism, a lot of sexism, a lot of just
hate.
discrimination happening in the Star Wars world or in the Star Wars galaxy itself with some of the stuff that's going on. And they all needed to hear that. You just offered the entire Star Wars community a look to stop this hatred and stop trying to control what's happening in Star Wars. This actor can't play this part because of their color, or they can't play this part because of their sexuality, or they can't do this because of the way they classify themselves. That has nothing to do with an actor's ability to act that part. It has nothing to do with it. You can't hate somebody because they're gay, and you don't want them to play this part because they're gay in real life. That's not has anything to do with the part that they're playing, or if they're playing a part of being a bitch, that's their part. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're supposed to be.
We know exactly who you're swinging at.
It has nothing to do with them as an individual. The Star Wars community has been doing so much of attacking people. Moses Ingram, I'll say it, because she was black and she played a part. What is that her part? Or did she was a bad actor because nobody liked her because she was a bitch on the show? That was her part. She's playing the part. That's who they wrote her to be. That has nothing to do with her as a real person. And that's what you just said, Christopher, is what all the Star Wars community needed to hear. They needed to hear the true explanation of how actors come in and act this part. It has nothing to do with who they really are. It has to do with the part that they're playing. And they have to be open to play any part that's the part that they have to play. That's what you were cast to play. It has nothing to do with you personally, and you have to be more open. You have to be open to the world, because you never know what position you're going to have to play in life, just in everyday life. Be more open.
I think I would say, like, just to kind back in, Garrison did musical theater. He didn't know he was going to enjoy that until he did musical theater. He probably had a lot of preconditioned ideas.
Oh, for sure.
Of what, it means to be in musical theater. And then you did it and you're like, bro, I'm awesome. And you're awesome. This community's awesome. Like, right? Like, but it takes one to actively search it out and step out of your comfort zone, because the only growth that ever comes is through uncomfortability. That comes with working out.
Big time.
That comes with, pushing yourself, even if you're exhausted, to get up and do these podcasts and speak with random people. And you'll learn, like, well, we're never going to talk to that guy again. That's the one thing we learned. Or you're
not gonna lie, we've had moments like that. But I mean, hey,
right? And it's like, in the end, it's like you only learn through actually doing. And if you make these judgments, or you have these thoughts, well, this is what it is, and you stay sedimentary. And again, the only constant in life is change. So if you're stuck in a mindset, you're stuck in the past. Grow. Change for the better, change for the positive, change for your community, change for the best. In the end, like, you can't move if you're stagnant, man. Everything's going to change around you but you. So you'll realize you're the problem. You're the trash. You're the deep-rooted issue, because you're not budging. I'm not going to change nothing. It's like, whoa, just I'm not telling you that every principle in your life is wrong. I'm telling you to look at it with an open mind. I'm telling you to try living their lifestyle. I'm telling you to try things that are out of your comfort zone. And then you may learn how to tap dance like Garrison. Garrison's the best tap dancer I've ever met, actually.
Tap dancing is not it.
Musical theater, man. No,
you give
but
me a
in the end,
to watch you,
but like, one of the things, I was working out with a buddy the other day, and I do an hour of power. Like, I try and work out Monday through Friday, and I'm trying to stay consistent, because healthy body leads to healthy mind, and they go hand in hand, right? Healthy body, healthy mind. And I was working out with a buddy, and I'm explaining to him, you can deadlift. You can get deeper in your deadlift. and he's watching himself in the mirror. Every time he goes down, watching himself in the mirror. And I'm like, stop looking at yourself, because you already have an idea of where you're supposed to stop in your mind. Stop looking at yourself and saying this is what it is, because that's wrong. You're doing it wrong. Look down, focus on the muscle, focus on what you're doing. And then he started doing it without looking, dropped the weight all the way to the ground, touched the ground, came back. He was like, I didn't know I could touch the ground. I said, because you were stuck in a mentality where you thought this is your limitation. That's wrong. When the minute you started, you just believed and went for it, you did it. You know, again, you got to get out of your own way. So, sorry, I'm off my soapbox.
No, hey, no, you're completely right. I mean, that is some great advice, because, you know, one of the things that I have learned throughout my life is the world's going to keep turning no matter what I do. I can stay still and I can sit back and the world's going to keep moving. I mean, I had to change a lot of my ways of thinking, just because I was like, this is too comfortable for me. It's too easy. If it's easy, if it's not hard, it's not worth doing. If I don't get out of my comfortability zone and I don't push for stuff, I'm never going to get anywhere other than where I'm at. There's a saying, and I actually said it on my other podcast, because on my other podcast, I do a weekly quote, and then I explain what the quote means.
Love that.
And I'm trying to think of what the quote was. I think it was Muhammad Ali. I think he said something of the fact of
sting like a bee.
No,
I mean, that's still a good quote.
That was a good quote, but it wasn't that quote. But he was talking about he didn't want to fight the people that he knew he could beat. He wanted to fight the people that he thought he couldn't beat, because then it would take him, it would scare him, and the best fuel in a fight is fear. He was scared in every fight that he ever fought. And that just kind of resonated with me, like, if I'm not scared to do it, if it's not going to be hard, it's probably not worth doing. And throughout my life, I've noticed that the things that was the hardest to do and the things that I was the most scared about was the things that I accelerated the most at. That, because it takes you out of that comfort zone. It takes you into a position of where you're like, I got to give my 100%. If I don't, I'm going to fail, and I refuse to fail.
Like a machine. You can push a machine to 100%, but you push it past, it breaks. The human body, just like the human mind, you push it past 100%, it adapts and evolves. So that's why it's like you can work out, and the minute you're comfortable, you're not changing. Like the most uncomfortable moments in our lives, you can remember probably asking somebody on a date and being rejected. I got plenty of those stories. Or, you know, trying out for an audition for a job, or trying whatever. Like, what are you in those uncomfortable positions? You're like, oh my God, I'm never doing that again. That is one of the best learning lessons. I learned I'm not going to do that. I'm going to learn to do this. Because of that uncomfortability, it is now applicable to your life, and now you've adapted, you've grown, you just leveled up. But if you went in and you got it, you're not changing. That means you're doing everything right already. So you're perfect for that. But you didn't get it. Now you have to become the man or person who can accomplish that, which means you have to change into that person, which is a hard pill to swallow for people to think that I'm not perfect. I'm not exactly what every other person wants. You know, it's like, no, man, we have to grow. We have to adapt. We live in a world of talking to people, because if you don't, you get bored. You start to lose your mind. So we live in a community. We live in a society where it's important to talk, to grow, and we have to work with people we don't like, people we love, but the people we don't like, again, we learn ways to deal with them. And in doing so,
sorry. No, I went through that last week. That's the only reason why I said that.
You got fired?
No, I got somebody fired.
Bro, what's wrong?
He wouldn't.
No, I'm kidding.
He wouldn't work.
He's like,
that's the thing. No. So my experience. let me share this. Let me share this. Let me share this real fast. So I came into this company being the first guy on for their excavation side. Then they brought their other guys in. Well, they brought this kid in, said he knew everything he wanted to know. Oh, I got this. You know, I can do this. Well, he'd stand around with a shovel in his hand. And then when the big boss would come walking through, he'd start digging or take a shovel out of your hand. And I finally got to a point. I'm like, are you going to work or are you just going to talk? Because you got a lot of stories about knowing how to do this, but you're not doing it. Well, my boss was watching around the corner. He like peeked his head and saw that and walked up and was like, yo, bro, you either work or you get out of here. And they fired him.
Yeah, well, in the end, it's actions speak louder than words.
Oh, yeah.
I've met plenty of salesmen in my time. It's magic. It's that, and it's like, well, okay, so what are you gonna do? What product or service are you providing? Like, just give it to me straight. You're gonna do it or you're not. And so yeah, you're right, absolutely.
Well,
Because at that point he's mooching off of you. He's taking out of your pocket, which is wrong. So yeah, you're very much on the right.
Backtrack on the whole community thing, like you were talking about, and how you got to be more accepting. I grew up in a farm town in Idaho. Population like 5,000. The community itself was predominant Hispanic and white. I had 2 half-black older brothers. Nobody really welcomed that, but they learned how to go through and deal with that. And then I moved to Boise. I went from having a class of 96 where it's Hispanic and white to you have Armenian, you have Nigerian, it was a culture shock, and like my mindset of, oh, you can't trust these people, or oh, you got to watch out for people like this. Because, I grew up with my grandparents, and they're, good old farmers. You just, when you open the door and you start accepting people, like one of my best friends, he's from Iraq. His dad helped our soldiers out. And when his dad was killed in action, they granted him amnesty, him and his mom and his sister, and moved here. And I would have never known that if I would have just kept my guard up and been like, no, I can't trust people like that. Oh, I see people like that on the news all the time. I can't trust people. Like, you got to open that door. You got to be accepting. You never know who's going to be your best friend or who you're going to have the greatest conversation with. Or like I said, my best friend since senior year of high school. I'm 25, almost 26, and we haven't skipped a step. We've been best friends since. And I just moving out, like move out of your comfortability zone, like your comfort zone. Like I was comfortable in Payette. I didn't want to move. I didn't feel like moving, but I knew I needed that change because I was never going to get the hell out of there if I didn't. I was going to be stuck in a dead end town. And I just packed up. I left. It was uncomfortable. Oh, it was uncomfortable. But I mean, I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have met all my friends I have here. My best friend who's also who's marrying my little sister. I can't get past that. That's this Saturday. That's a little bit.
Your brother now, huh? Your brother's your brother now. I love it.
Yeah. Is that fresh for you, Garrison?
No, that happened to my friend too, and we're in the same friend. Long story.
Oh, it's like.
The balls on that guy.
At least it wasn't your mom.
Well, the thing was, no, hold on, though. So the thing was,
I have a friend that married another friend's mom, or another one of our friends' mom.
Is his name Zach Wilson?
No. So we were sitting there, and he was coming over all the time. We were hanging out and everything. My sister was living with me. Her and her ex split up, and she didn't have nowhere to go, so I was letting her crash in my spare room. And he's coming over a lot more. And I'd come home from work and he'd be sitting on my couch. And I'd be like, yo, he's like, oh, I was just waiting for you, man. I knew where the key was. I'm like, all right, cool. My sister's at work, so I'm not really expecting anything. A couple weeks down the line, I come home a little earlier. I hear giggling up the stairs in the room. And they're, yeah. And they came into my room. They're like, hey, we got... Well, and see, my wife is in the chat, Tori. She's like, what makes it weirder is that my brother's marrying
the same thing.
Yeah. So her best friend is like her brother. They've known each other since middle school. Is marrying my sister. And what's messed up about this is I went upstairs. Like I said, I found out what was going on. And then I was in my room. They came and knocked. They're like, hey, we got something we want to tell you. We're together. And I'm like, oh, I kind of already freaking figured. Thanks, guys. And to make it worse, not even 4 months later, she ends up pregnant. And I look at her, I'm like, my nephew was conceived in my spare bedroom in my apartment. This is really great. Thanks, guys. I'm glad I'm moving out.
Oh, man. I don't know. I mean, I find that awesome, bro.
Oh no, I love him to death. I couldn't have, I've seen her in the past. Some scummy boyfriends. I've beaten up a couple of them.
Yeah.
I've been through the ringer with my little sister, and with her, I couldn't imagine a better man to be with her.
That's wonderful.
and
And he's one of your homies, which is
yeah,
great.
and I trust him. I trust him to death. Like I mean, he's been through some pretty bad stuff, and you know, his first wife passed in a tragic accident, and the fact that he was still willing to open the door to love and found my sister and love her and you know, have a family. I mean, I'm proud.
Well,
I'm
congratulations.
still pissed off that they did it the nasty in my apartment and weren't telling me anything. I was
That's
a
all
little
they
mad.
can. But bro,
That's
that's
just
all
being
you
young.
know. I mean, they might have even used your room too.
Oh,
Yo, why do you not make it worse, bro?
Wait, what?
Why do you gotta make it? This bed right here? No. Now I gotta call him and ask, like, yo, did you fool around in my bed?
I mean, no offense to your sister and her, man. I apologize.
No, it's all good.
Making a
Man.
joke.
You just didn't know. It made me laugh. Now I'm still gonna call him though. Like a little bit of laughter,
like, no.
a little bit of anxiety. It's right there with each other, you know.
Yeah, in the end of the day, like to touch back, you had the guy who didn't work. You realized he wasn't working, you know, and it is about it being a community. You helped out, you gave him an option, right? And then you learned, hey, you can't just give everyone. Well, you can give everyone an opportunity, but you can't just let them. You're going to shoulder their burden, right? So, Bruce Lee's quote.
Him the rope.
Bruce Lee's quote is, and I solidify it, right? I condense it, but basically take what works, discard what doesn't, and make it your own. And that's what we do in life. You know, we consistently learn. We're like, that's worthless. Ooh, diamond in the rough. Boom. And then, now how am I going to design this? How am I going to make this mine, right? But again, going back to that, like, congratulations to your family, your ever-growing family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Where do you guys live now? You said
I'm in Idaho. Still.
Idaho?
Yeah.
And Garrison, where are you at?
I'm in Arizona.
Arizona. Nice.
Yeah.
And Kyle, where you at, my man?
I'm in Missouri.
Missouri.
Columbia.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm right in the middle of the country.
Dang, that's awesome, man.
I'm in the armpit.
I was born in California, and then I moved from California to Colorado, and
Is
then
that for
from
college?
Colorado,
Or did you just move?
I just moved. My dad liked to travel, so I've been everywhere. I've been so many places. I lived in Alaska for a little bit, lived in Chicago for a little bit, lived here, lived in California, lived in Colorado. Colorado's where I probably call home mostly. I spent most of the time in Colorado. It's beautiful there. But I don't know. I like it here. My wife's from here, so she wanted to move here. When I actually moved here, I had, like I said, I was doing a vaping channel, and actually a guy that works for Mizzou, this is where Mizzou College is at, and I got a job working for their video and audio department. I was supposed to be covering the games, but then the dude got fired, so now I work for the city.
Ah, that's so cool, man. You have such an interesting story.
Oh man, everybody keeps telling me I need to write a book about my life, and I'm like, there's
I would love to read that, man.
There's a lot of stuff that people.
Some of the stories off live. Some of the stories he tells us off.
Coming after me, then.
A book. Oh, it'll be a read.
No, and Garrison and I can attest to this. Some of the stories he's told us off live, just sitting here, is like, okay, like
Yeah, I've had a very.
you've lived.
I've had a very interesting life. You know, in my 44 years that I've been here, I've had a pretty interesting life.
To me, like I loved. There's a movie I absolutely loved, and to me, it seems like your life, it parallels it. I'm not saying it's the same, but it parallels it in a way that it's like it's so interesting. Have you seen the movie Forrest Gump?
Mm-hmm.
Like Academy Award-winning movie.
I was waiting for him to say Wolf of Wall Street, but that works too.
But I don't know. I don't know that much. I mean, if it's Wolf of Wall Street, that's an amazing story. But you know, the slice of life that Forrest Gump is. You know, he's done all these amazing. He's achieved so many amazing feats, and he's lived and gone so many places, and all he really wants to do is just be happy, right? Like, I'm like, dude, Kyle, like your life is incredible. It's awesome.
I've had some. I've done a little bit of everything. That's the thing, because I didn't, like you said earlier, I was one of the people that didn't know what I wanted to do. And everything that caught my attention, I just gave it 100%. And then if I realized this isn't what I wanted, this is what it maybe not what I wanted to do, but it wasn't what I thought it was. And then I would transition to something else. Or I would just, a lot of times I just fell into stuff. I worked for GE for 22 years delivering and installing appliances, and everybody was like, dude, you have the money. You don't have to do that. Why do you do that? I just love doing it. And I stayed there for 22 years because I loved doing it. And it paid great, so and it gave me the ability to travel a lot. So I stayed there. And everybody's like, dude, man, you're freaking working your ass off. Why are you doing it? I just love doing it. It was fun. It was like one of the most fun jobs ever. I hate that I left. I should have never left, but it was just beating up my body too much. I mean, I've done anything that I ever. My dad was one of those type of people. If you want to do something, do it. Don't talk about it. Go out and do it. And my dad is 83 now. I mean, he's done everything from work for the mob to own his own business to, work for candy factories, doing everything. I mean, he's traveled so many places in the world. But anything that he ever wanted to accomplish, he just do it. He didn't allow anybody to hold him back. He just do it. And it was something that he instilled in me. So everything that I wanted to do, and some stuff that I didn't even know I wanted to do, I just did it. I didn't ever let nobody tell me that I couldn't do something. In all reality, if somebody said, you can't do that, it made me want to do it even more. I'm very competitive when it comes to, because I don't think that there's nothing that's unachievable. There's nothing that's unachievable if you truly want to do it. Yeah. When I was younger, I wanted to get big and I wanted to, ride a motorcycle. And I bought a motorcycle and I worked out and I put on like 100 pounds of muscle, and then I would wreck my bike, and then I was like, oh, I don't want to ride this bike no more. And then my legs was hurting all the time because I have all this extra weight and I'm trying to carry appliances. Got to get rid of this. Drank beer for 6 months. Didn't eat dinner. No dinner for 6 months. Just drank beer. Every day for dinner for 6 months, and I gradually lost the weight so I could get back down to where I could work because it was affecting my work performance. But when I wanted to do it, I went 100% in and I did it. When people said, you can't do YouTube, you don't have the personality for that, you don't have this, you don't have that, I just went out there and did it. When people said, you can't do this, I just went and did it. I was like, and it's something that I instilled in all my kids. There's nothing that you can't accomplish if you put your mind to it. There's nothing. Your dreams and your aspirations in life are what make us individuals. Because everybody has a different dream. Everybody has a different goal set in their life. And if you are not willing to fight for your dreams and your goals, ain't nobody else going to do it for you. You're going to be living their dreams and goals.
Absolutely.
And I could not allow myself to be that person. And then, I don't know, I ultimately have to say my wife, she's always been very supportive of everything I've done. And she's always stuck with me. Even the times where I was gone and traveling and doing stuff, she just stuck by me, which makes it a lot easier. It's harder to do. My ex-wife was not like that. She was not. And that's why she's my ex-wife, because you have to let people follow their dreams. You have to. And just with my wife now, whatever, when she wanted to go to college, go to college. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out.
That's so cool, man.
When she wanted to make a difference in her career, I got you. Don't worry about it. Go do it. Just the same way with my kids. Even my grandkids. My youngest grandson or my oldest grandson will be 5 tomorrow.
You got grandkids, my man?
Yeah.
What?
I'm about to have my 4th grandchild.
Congratulations.
Yeah, my oldest son just gave us the him and his girl just gave us the thing that they're expecting. She's like 2 months now. So,
wow.
So I'm going to have my youngest daughter's about to have baby in about 2 months. My oldest daughter has 2 kids. And then now my oldest son's about to have a kid. So I got 4 grandkids.
That's amazing, man.
And it's, that it's also something that I've instilled in them. And it's something that I'm trying to instill into my grandchildren. There's nothing that you can't accomplish if you put your mind to it. Follow your dreams.
Hey, they got your genes, man. They're going to be successful.
I hope so. I certainly, man, the way this world is nowadays, man, it's so hard because you don't know what to expect tomorrow. I mean, every day we turn on the news and, we don't know if we're going to be in wars or we don't know what's going to happen. And it's just so, I think that's the biggest, one of the things, when I was going to school, one of the things that brought to me that made me think. It says in Proverbs that you must leave an inheritance for your children. And I think that's one of the driving factors that's always drove me to work so hard and to chase every dream that I had, is because I wanted to leave a legacy for my kids and for my grandkids and my great grandkids and for my family, because nobody else in my family really ever did. You know, my dad, you know, he's done a lot of stuff and he's been a lot of places and all kind of different stuff in his life, but he never really made it. You know, he never, like, if you asked anybody, I mean, he had a couple cars that he fixed in Hot Rod magazine 50 years ago, but nobody's really gonna know. And I wanted to leave a legacy for them, so when just that they would know, you know, that the world would know, hey, my grandfather was something, or my dad was something, and it pushed me so hard to just try and never give up.
That's amazing, man. And you know what's great is they're going to be able to look back on all these podcasts and just kind of like hang out with you and listen and get your words of advice and hear from all these strangers, you know, their life stories. I mean, I'm just an actor. I do jobs just like you, traveling and doing jobs. So it's like, what's the difference, right? It's just those people that do have ego and those who don't. And I love that. I think that's wonderful, man. Good for you. And great for you. Your kids are so lucky to have you.
On that whole acting thing, since Bodhi is so adamant on wanting to know more Star Wars, what made you take the role for Resistance? Like, did you just look at it and be like, yo, that's a Lucasfilm Star Wars project. That's something I want. Like, well, yeah. Yeah, people are going to say stupid things, and I don't care what they want. We're having a great conversation. We're having fun. But I was curious about that, and I didn't get to ask it earlier because we went on this whole tirade of inspiration and positivity that everybody needs to hear in the first place. I think that was a lot better than...
Yeah, I live in a world of 99% rejection. You know, like as an actor, you're always being told no, or you're always being ignored. So for me, inspiration, positivity, that's got to be fed daily, just like an appetite. So I love sitting down and motivating other people, creatives as well, because in your inspiration and your motivation, it motivates the heck out of me. It's just like Kyle, I'm super competitive, and I love when people are competitive, because I'm like, let's go, baby. Let's, you know, iron sharpens iron, steel sharpens steel, right? Let's make each other better. In reference to acting, though, it's Lucasfilm. I mean, the answer is that, right? My first audition was Voltron. My first voiceover audition was for Voltron.
No way.
I've been wanting to get into the voiceover world, and that's even smaller and more niche than acting. And acting's so difficult to get in, but voiceover is even much more difficult to get in. My first audition was for Redline on Voltron. I got the producers at DreamWorks, and I didn't book the role. Steven Yeun from The Walking Dead. He played Glenn. He booked it over me. Academy Award nominated actor. Amazing talent. I respect the heck out of him. I was so honored to even get that far. My second audition, I get a call from my agent in New York saying, Lucasfilm is calling for you. Who are you? And I'm like, bro, who are you? Like, what are you talking about? Who am I? Who are you? He's like, I'm your agent in New York. Lucasfilm is calling for you. Like, who are you? And I'm like, what? And he's like, I'm coming to LA. Let's have lunch. Let's talk. I don't know how big this is, but it might be an opportunity. I'm like, cool. Let's. So we sat, we talked, we, brainstormed what it may be. And the day came and they were like, we have a small thing for you. Just try out. And I auditioned for it. And by the end of it, they told me that I booked the lead role of the new Star Wars Resistance animated series on the Disney Channel and Disney Plus.
So they chased you.
Well, they'd been kind of making their rounds, and I'm not A-list. I don't even know if I'm B-list, like I'm down the food chain. And being given the opportunity, I was just like, my dad used to tell me stories in the doorway before we go to bed, little bedtime stories, and he'd pretend to be Yoda beating up 100 ninjas, and he'd run across as Chewbacca and beating up another 100 ninjas, and he'd come back, sorry guys. He's like, I had to save the world again. So anyway, where was I? He's doing his impressions, and for me, that was everything. That's nostalgia. So for me, Star Wars means family, because it reminds me of my dad. And my dad's he's still with us. I was just hanging out with him today, talking to him. Not in person. He lives in Arizona. He's actually down the street from you, Garrison.
Let's go.
No, I'm
Okay.
kidding. I don't know where you live, bro. But anyway.
You just see Garrison outside getting in his
He
ring.
probably does. Like everybody in Arizona
I'm like,
lives
yo,
in the same
Garrett.
place anyways.
But no, I mean, like, so for me, like, again, like when Star Wars reached out, I was like, yes, of course I want to be a part of that. I grew up on comic books, video games, and Star Wars, like, yes, I'm in. And then, one thing led to the next, and I'm there working with Oscar Isaac. I mean, come on, some of the biggest names, and the team behind it that created it: Justin Ridge, Athena Portillo, Mandy Munoz, Brandon Auman, good friend. Like, all these guys are like top tier. You're working with the best in the business when you work with a Lucasfilm project. Any IP, intellectual property that is Lucasfilm, you're working with people that know their stuff. There's no ego anymore. You get to really have fun, and that's the dream. As an actor, you want to get to that point. I'm working on smaller projects where people treat me like trash. And I'm like, this is what acting is? And then you book the bigger roles, and they're like, hi, sir, how are you? Are you ready for your feast? Here's a, lobster and ribeye and filet mignons on the set of Hawaii Five-0. You're like, this is acting. This is awesome. They took us to Tam O'Shanter. It's like one of Walt Disney's favorite places to go. It's just down the road from here. And these are porterhouse cut steaks with large mashed potatoes and whatever, just a meal. And you're like, wow, I can't believe they're giving me this. This is amazing. Thank you. And it just comes down to, again, when somebody like Lucasfilm says, hi, would you like an opportunity? I mean, how many of us are going to say no to that, right?
Right.
I don't even care if I'm just like a light post in the background. Like, I could be the dumbest thing. I don't care. I'm going to be like, yes. How are you? Thank you.
Lucasfilm, Star Wars takes care of their people. Like, regardless if you're small or big, they take care of you. I remember being on set, and all of us were given gifts. All of us were given, thank you gifts and goodbye gifts when the show ended, and every single person was acknowledged. So, and then you're a part of the Star Wars universe. Like, that is the coolest thing to say. I mean, honestly, my love for DC, my love for Marvel, my love for every Disney project. Like, I've always wanted to be a Disney prince, right? Like, that was kind of my thing. But I'm like, there's no Asian American Disney princes. And then Mulan came out, right? Mulan, I was like, dude, that's I could be that guy, right? Like, for me, it's just, again, being a part of something that big is just the coolest thing in the world.
And then plus you get to work with some other amazing actors. I mean, you got to work with Scott Lawrence, Susie McGrath. I mean, just these are some Isaac. You worked with a lot of people on the set of Star Wars Resistance. It's not just it wasn't. I mean, I couldn't imagine being able to work, especially with Susie McGrath. She's awesome.
Susie's amazing. You got Jason Hightower, Bobby Moynihan, Jim Rash, Academy Award winner, Lucy Lawless, Joe Manganiello. I mean, the list goes on of like extremely established and talent, pillars of our entertainment community that were like, yeah, I'd love to be a part of the project. It's like Gwendolyn King, I think, from Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize, I can't remember. I think it's Gwendolyn King. But it's such names. And just to like be recognized amongst them is, again, another just thank you. I'll take my bow here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's just I like to live the lifestyle of, a lot, like I said earlier, a lot of people look at the glitz and glam, but it's not even the glitz and glam. It's just like so many amazing people that you get to work with and you get to be a part of in the industry. And then, especially with Star Wars, because we know, I mean, Star Wars has created some of the most talented people out in actors. I mean, we got Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill. I mean, there's so many, I couldn't even list all of them. And just to be a part of that community had to be just awesome. I mean, just.
Yeah. And people that are extensions thereof, like Peter Mayhew. Yes. Amazing. I met his wife, Angie Mayhew. She's amazing. I met their entire team. We did a nonprofit. I utilized their 501c3, the Mayhew Foundation. They were kind enough to let me work with them and collaborate at the Empire Con. down in LA by the LAX airport, and Empire Con is hosted by them, and they were nice enough to allow me again to raise money for special needs children, special needs schools in areas, because they've cut funding for special needs courses and classes. So I took bids, and I was like, which school program, which talking to different people. And I was doing an interview, and one girl was like, I'm a special needs teacher and we really need help. And I said, this is crazy, because I'm literally started a nonprofit to help special needs children feel like their own heroes in their own stories, to have visibility, have inclusion through diversity, right? But if it's not going to be on television and movies, well, then let's have an artist who is officially licensed through Star Wars to then create art of that child as one of their heroes. Do you want to be a pilot? Do you want to be a Jedi? Do you want to be a Sith Lord? Would you like to be a princess or a queen? What do you want? So this kid, Daniel, he chose to be a Jedi with a blue lightsaber. And, at Empire Con, we were selling that art of him. And I'm drawing a blank of the name of the artist. Oh, he's amazing. But Matthew, I'll figure that out. I apologize. But it was put together by Matthew C. Egan and his team, Laurel Hampton. And these guys are amazing. And the whole Mayhew Foundation team, again, they supported that. We sold, our goal was to hit 10,000. We hit well over 10,000. We were able to provide a school in San Bernardino School District computers for their special needs classes that would stay permanently in those classes to help those children who didn't have them. All they had were they had 2 broken iPads that was being passed around by the kids. And it's like, that's not right. We live in a society, again, where technology is everything, and so for them not to have that, they're already at a handicap, and to then be limited even more so, it's like, ugh. But again, the people that are associated with Star Wars, these people have hearts of gold, and the people surrounding them, this community is everything to me. I love the Star Wars community. And yes, there are a lot of haters. And yes, people that are stuck in the simple-minded olden ways. But again, through that trash, you're going to find gold. You're going to find diamonds, human beings that are willing to grow, willing to change, and that are willing to just give more of themselves. And for you to have that connection with, and the real Star Wars fans, the real ones who are that are like day one, that love the franchise, that love anything made from it, and they're going to have their opinion on it. But again, all of these IPs, all of them, you get more of Star Wars universe. I mean, that's what we want, right? And yeah, we want more rated PG, rated R, cut the arm off, cut the leg. You want all that? That's there, and it's coming. But at the same time, it's like, what if we stopped after the first, the original trilogy? What if we stopped then? You wouldn't have the other 3. You wouldn't have the post trilogy. You wouldn't have so much that we have now if we would have stopped. So just be, let's be happy.
We wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah, we got to be happy with difference. We got to be happy again with change, right? So anyway, I apologize. I'm gonna have to get going here pretty soon.
Oh, that's fine.
Is there any questions you guys wanted to ask prior to me leaving?
Just where can people find you on social media and stuff, and what kind of projects are you working on right now?
Well, the secrets that I'm not allowed to say, I'm going to tell you right now. No.
Man, you got my hopes up. I was like leaning in. I was like, okay.
Gotham Knights comes out October 21st. That's huge. I cannot wait. I'm going to be playing that game. I'm on PlayStation 5, so if you guys want to find me, I think my name is Christopher Sean. I just go by my name.
To buy a PlayStation to play.
But I played today as Nightwing, and it's incredible. It is so worth the hype. I'm on Instagram. Mostly I do Instagram, and I'm getting more into Twitter, a little bit into Facebook, but mostly Instagram. My Instagram is at Mr. Christopher Sean, my name, Mr. Christopher Sean, no spaces. And I do have a TikTok. I hardly use it. I'm getting more involved with it again. That's what's new, the new frontier. I gotta grow. Change is inevitable. So I'm growing. I'm trying to get more comfortable with it. And whatever on the next platform is, I'm gonna probably see you there already mastering that skill, Kyle. I'll be like, dang, bro, leave some for the rest of us.
You're doing it all.
But,
all right.
Yeah.
So Christopher, man, thank you so much for coming on the show and blessing us with all this wonderful information that you have for us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks. Thanks, guys. Rock and
Yeah.
roll. Take care.
We'd
May
love
the
to have
force
you
be with
back.
you.
Thanks, man.
Oh yeah, we definitely love to have you back. Anytime you want to come on, just let us know. We'd be more than happy.
Yeah, man. Well, just say hi on Instagram. I'm around. I reply.
Yes, he does. All right, guys. We'll see you guys on Saturday. Peace, and may the force be with you. Hit the button, Garrison.
The
What are you
button?
doing?
Thank you for tuning in to LSR. If you've enjoyed the show, consider subscribing so you can be notified when new episodes are released. If you would like to be a guest on the show or just want to give us some feedback, feel free to email us. You can also reach out to us on all major social media platforms. LightSaber Radio is produced by PicFilm Media and is a Swaycast original, starring Garrison Turcotte, CJ Elliott, and Kyle McDaniel. And don't forget to join us next time for more adventures in a galaxy far, far away.